Alright, it is Wednesday, April 29th. I am absent, but my wonderful voice is still available for you to learn. So what we have is volume of a pyramid. Alright, so I told you this was coming up. We were going to do a volume of three-dimensional figures at some point. Okay? And I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. This is really simple. It is volume. I'm going to reset the board real quick. So what we have is yesterday we did volume of parallelograms and prisms and things like that, three-dimensional figures. Alright, we are not doing that anymore. And by not doing that anymore, we also are going to have volume of cones. And so what we have is volume is just going to be 1/3, right, the base area times the height. Let's switch it. Alright, let's do the area of the base times the height divided by 3. So what we're doing is we used to cut triangles into halves when we were doing area. Now we're going to cut them in thirds when we do volume, because we're multiplying 3 dimensions together actually. So remember, we use these capital B's because it's going to be the area of the base. So it might be a square in this example. And then don't forget, h is our height, and it still has to be perpendicular in both of these. So if it's on an oblique one or a right one, it still is the height. So let's just try some of these. So if I looked at this one, I would say, okay, height is 9. Boom. Now this is a rectangle, so an area of a rectangle is going to be 9.5 times 8. So 9.5 times 8 is going to be 76. Alright, and then what I would do is I would do volume is equal to, so it says capital B, which is our rectangle, times height divided by 3. So if I were to do this, I would have volume equals 76 times 9 divided by 3. If you do that in a calculator, you're going to get 228 centimeters. And remember, volume is now going to be cubed, right? Because 9.5 had a centimeters after it, 8 had a centimeters after it, and 9. All right, so you're multiplying 3 things together. You are going to have volume cubed. Then like this one. This is actually the area of a triangle. So if you look at this, this is a triangular base, and there's a right angle there. That's good, because 15 is my base, 6 is my height of the triangle. So what I would have done is base 15 times height, 6, divided by 2. So my area of the triangle is going to be 45 feet squared. Now remember, this height here is a two-dimensional thing, so we're going to find the area of the triangle using that. When we add in this third dimension, this comes down, it's perpendicular. 14 is our height for three-dimensional figures. So what I would have done is volume equals base times height divided by 3. I would have did volume equals 45 times the 14 divided by 3. And I would get a grand total of 210 feet cubed. Alright, so this circled stuff in red is what you're aiming to get. Remember, you need to use a calculator and practice getting these values. Don't just write them down. The other thing is, if you're not listening right now, good luck understanding that you need a capital B for your area of the base. As always, we do a couple examples that are word problems. So Brooke is buying a tent that is in the shape of a rectangular pyramid. So we got a rectangular pyramid, something like this. Ever tell you can't draw rectangles? I don't know, something like that. The base is 6 feet by 8 feet. And the tent holds 88 cubic feet of air. How tall is the tent center pole? So the center pole would drop down here right to the center. So what we have is volume is equal to base times height divided by 3. Well, good news for us is we know that the area of a rectangle is going to equal 6 times 8. So 6 times 8, the area of the rectangle is 48. So what we're looking at is a backwards problem, because it wants me to find the height. So this is the unknown. It asked, how tall is the 10 center pole? This is what we're solving for. So by process of elimination, 3 is the number. Base, we already have, is 48. This is actually volume. Its volume is going to be feet cubed, right? So this is actually a backwards problem. So what I would do is I'd probably come over here and I'd sub in volume, okay? That's the 88. So I got 88 equal to the base, right? The rectangle is the base, so that's 48 times the height divided by 3. Now, one thing you could do is you could multiply by 3 on each side. And multiplying by 3 on each side does one thing for me. Cancels these 3's out, so I have 48h. And on the other side, 3 times 88. I would not write that down in my notes. All right, 24 and 24 is 264. Go with it. And divide by 48. And divide by 48. You're supposed to have a height of 5.5 feet. Alright. Hopefully that works out to your liking. Now that is a backwards problem. You have the ability to do backwards problems. Just make sure you're listening closely when you do that. Alright, moving on. We have volume of a cone. Now, volume of a cone is similar, just like surface area and lateral area of a cone, to a pyramid. Now, what we have in this situation is still the same thing. You see a cylinder here. We have a right angle, so we know that our heights have to be straight up and down. We also know that volume is going to be 1 base times height divided by 3. Now, our circles on the bottom are always our bases, so we could write pi r squared for our bases. If you want, you can sub this b out, this one that doesn't look like I wrote it very good, with pi r squared, because that's our substitution property from algebra. If you want the volume formula for a cone to be pi r squared h divided by 3, go for it. Alright, so all 3 of those are equal. You use the one you're more comfortable with, but all of cones are going to be circles. So if you want to jump to this blue one, that's perfectly okay. So then every time we use it, we need to figure out what r and h is. Now, height is still perpendicular. Look at these. This is an oblique one. This is a right one. Right one straight up and straight down in the center. This oblique one next to this red star, that's an oblique one. The height still has to be perpendicular straight up and straight down. So don't be surprised if we do some of those confusing ones. Find the volume of the cones. So we just wrote down volume is equal to pi r squared h divided by 3. Good news for me. This dotted one is 5.8. That comes down and makes a 90 with our base, so that's our height. And actually, 3.2 is equal to our radius, so nothing confusing there when you plug all that in. So you should know how to do pi, 3.2 squared, 5.8. Put parentheses about that. And then the final step would be hit divide by 3. So what I would suggest is in this one, you can actually enter everything at the same time, and you should get a volume that equals 62.2 meters cubed. Remember, volumes are cubed. So make sure you're practicing some of these. Good news for us here. This is perpendicular here. So this 15 is straight up and straight down. So 15 becomes our height. And 8 is still a radius. So I come down here, I go volume equals pi r squared h divided by 3. So then our volume would be pi times 8 squared times 15 divided by 3. And you should get me a value for number 5 that volume equals 1005.31 centimeters cubed. Absolutely, yes, I want you to round these. All right, we're getting to the point where you should know how to round. You should know how to do pi in your calculator, all of those things. And you're rounding correctly, so you probably don't need the 1 there. 0.3 would be good enough. This would be your homework for today. Now, hopefully most of you stopped listening. However, just thought I would like to make a couple announcements. We are having a quiz on Friday, which means if you want the worksheet for today, the review worksheet is up at the desk. We will be going over that tomorrow, so if you want a head start on that so you get to leave early, that's perfect. Nobody's leaving early today. Also, the last thing would be Quiz Friday. It's going to be difficult. We're going to make the formula sheet tomorrow together, so make sure you're ready to go. Number 1 is 75 inches squared, cubed. 5 is 51.3 inches cubed. 10 is 605 inches cubed. 18 is 134.8 centimeters cubed. Now you need to show all your work and what you plugged into the calculator. Tomorrow, we are going to go through all of your homework step by step. So we're going to have different people come up to the board and tell me what they did. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. And hopefully somebody knows how to make sure everybody in class has all these done with work shown.